Hi, I'm Ahmed. Today we will discuss MCQs I posted in last video, questions 11 to 15 from past papers. You have noted that all these questions are from some same background. They have some common topic, and that is excessive hair growth, and how this simple problem is associated with many bigger problems, and treatment options for that. We will discuss all these things today, and if you have not solved that questions by yourself, then stop this video here, go back to that question video and solve the questions and come back here. And regarding this picture, if anyone can tell me, is it goat or bird? I'm confused. Let's discuss question 11. A young female presented in OPD with excessive hair growth problem. On examination, you noted that this hair growth is generalized and not restricted to any area. This is important sentence, that this growth is generalized. She is non-epileptic, taking her medication regularly. She is fit-free for last 10 months. What is your clinical diagnosis? Hirsutism, hypertrichosis, polycystic ovarian disease, part of epilepsy disease. So, is it hirsutism? No, it's not hirsutism. We will discuss hirsutism more, but in short, hirsutism is male pattern hair growth in females. So this is not male pattern, this is generalized. Male pattern means some areas like chest, abdomen, face especially. So it is, if it is generalized as mentioned in second sentence, then this is not hypertrichosis, this is not hirsutism, this is hypertrichosis. Okay, main difference between both is distribution. Okay, hirsutism will be on male pattern areas and hypertrichosis will be generalized. And there are two more differences, that hair will be thick in hirsutism and thin in hypertrichosis, and in hirsutism they will be darkly pigmented, and hypertrichosis they will not be darkly pigmented. Mainly you can differentiate with the distribution area. Why it is not polycystic ovarian disease? Because there is no clue to the disease. If it is polycystic ovarian disease, she should be obese, any menstrual irregularities mentioned, any infertility or other sign of polycystic ovarian disease, nothing is mentioned. So it and in polycystic ovarian disease, hirsutism is more common. The hair distribution, hair growth distribution in polycystic ovarian disease is like hirsutism. It is part of hirsutism. Okay, and option D, part of epilepsy disease. Well, you can say it can be the part of epilepsy treatment, not disease itself. General epilepsy doesn't have hirsutism. Some rare rare syndromes can be associated with that, but for that there should be mental retardation and other sign symptoms. Generally it's not part of epilepsy disease. Regarding treatment, she is on her medication regularly. So one of drug in epilepsy is associated with hirsutism and hypertrichosis both, that is phenytoin. So option D as part of epilepsy disease is not correct. Option B, hypertrichosis, is correct. A few words about hypertrichosis. It is excessive hair growth, as we already discussed, all over the body. It's not restricted to male pattern areas. Okay, the hair are thin and non-pigmented. Main causes are genetic, and it is sometimes associated with malignancies, hyperthyroidism and anorexia. Some drugs can be the cause: phenytoin, cyclosporin, diazoxide, minoxidil, streptomycin, acetazolamide, sorelin. Last one is used as in some skin dermatological diseases. Phenytoin is antileptic, cyclosporin is immunosuppressant, diazoxide and minoxidil are vasodilators, streptomycin is antibiotic, acetazolamide is mainly, you can say, diuretic. So these are some causes of it. Question 12. A young female presented with excessive hair growth. You noted on examination that these hair are thick and dark pigmented. Pattern of growth is similar to males, so it is hirsutism. She is obese, menstrual irregularities are present. Which of the following tests or tests will help you differentiating in most common causes? So this is hirsutism and we have to differentiate in between most common causes of hirsutism on the basis of lab investigations. First one is TSH and dexamethasone suppression test. You know TSH is used for detection of hypo and hyperthyroidism, and hypothyroidism is associated with hirsutism, but this is not one of most common causes. Hypothyroidism is not one of most common causes of hirsutism. Dexamethasone suppression test for Cushing syndrome, but again it is not one of most common causes. Both of them are less common causes. DHEA and testosterone levels. Actually this is correct option. You know DHEA means dehydroepiandrosterone. More appropriately you can say 6-dehydroepiandrosterone sulfate. Along with testosterone levels, it can help you to differentiate in most common causes. If DHEA and testosterone level both are normal, this is most likely idiopathic hirsutism. But in idiopathic hirsutism, there will less likely to have menstrual cycle irregularities. So this scenario doesn't lead to really idiopathic cause. If DHEA is high, then you should think about adrenal cause of hirsutism. Okay, DHEA is high, you will think about adrenal cause of hirsutism. If DHEA levels are normal and testosterone level is high, you will think about ovaries. Hirsutism will be from ovaries. Option 3, CBC and CRP. CBC and CRP are non-specific, and in this scenario specifically they are very non-specific, so they will not help you at all in differentiating in any cause. LH and TSH. LH can be used in workup of polycystic ovarian, but not alone LH. Actually it will be its ratio with FSH. We will discuss TSH as I already told for hypothyroidism, but it is not a common cause. So let's discuss something about hirsutism. As we have already discussed, hirsutism is excessive male pattern hair growth in females, and they are thick hair and darkly pigmented. So what are the common causes of this? Most common causes are idiopathic hirsutism and polycystic ovarian disease. After that comes adrenal hyperplasia, and depending on your geographical area, familial. There are some Mediterranean and Middle Eastern ancestry where hirsutism is common. Not everywhere this is familial, but it's a common cause. Then there are drugs, and there, other than steroids and anabolic steroids, all are mentioned above in causes of hypertrichosis. Same drugs also are causes of hirsutism. Then there are some less common causes like Cushing syndrome, acromegaly, hypothyroidism, hyperprolactinemia, and androgen secreting tumors. Okay. So in this scenario, we had to differentiate between first most common causes. As we have already discussed, option B was correct, DHEA and testosterone levels. Why it is correct, we have discussed. Why other are not correct, we have discussed. As you know, we have to discuss that why correct option is correct and why other options are not correct. Okay, one term that appears in the questions of hirsutism is virilization. Virilization word is used when they, along with male pattern hair growth in females, there are masculinizing signs. It means physiological signs of males, like loss of female body contour, muscle mass is increased, there are voice changes, there is baldness, there is clitoromegaly. So all these signs along with male pattern hair growth in females will be virilization. You can have this word in some MCQs of hirsutism. Okay, these four investigations are basic investigations for hirsutism: DHEA, testosterone. We have discussed about both of these. Then LH and FSH ratio. This will be increased in polycystic ovarian disease. LH and FSH ratio will be almost 3:1 in polycystic ovarian disease. Then there is 17-hydroxyprogesterone. This test is used for congenital adrenal hyperplasia. Okay, level will be high. Let's move to next question. Always start reading a question with a smile. It will give you internal boost. A young female presented with excessive hair growth. You noted on examination that these hair are thick and dark pigmented. Pattern of growth is similar to male pattern. So this is again hirsutism. She is not obese. Menstrual cycle is regular. Okay. After getting normal lab reports, your diagnosis is idiopathic hirsutism. Diagnosis is given. Which of the following drug of choice for it? Which of the following is drug of choice for it? Okay. This scenario is idiopathic hirsutism. As they have told, we have to choose the best treatment for it, drug for it. Spironolactone, metformin, clomiphene, oral contraceptive pills. Spironolactone is drug of choice for idiopathic hirsutism. All other three medicines are used for hirsutism associated with polycystic ovarian disease. But this is not polycystic ovarian disease. She is not obese. She doesn't have irregularities in menstrual cycle. And moreover, they have told that this is idiopathic hirsutism. So, spironolactone. Why spironolactone? We will discuss about it. And all others are used for polycystic ovarian disease. We will have few words about all these. Spironolactone, it is basically a diuretic, potassium sparing diuretic. It is steroidal aldosterone antagonist. Okay, steroidal aldosterone antagonist. It can be used in heart failure, edematous conditions like ascites in chronic liver disease, hypertension, but this is not first line treatment in hypertension, hypokalemia because it is potassium sparing diuretic, secondary hyperaldosteronism because it is aldosterone antagonist, Conn syndrome, some skin conditions like hirsutism and acne, seborrhea, and it is also a part of hormonal therapy in transgenders. So we know from this that it can be used in skin conditions like hirsutism, and it is drug of choice for hirsutism actually. Metformin is basically used in diabetes mellitus type 2 and polycystic ovarian disease, and it is one of wonderful drugs. It also has some role in fatty liver. It does some weight loss in some patients, but it should not be recommended for weight loss alone. Okay, for alone weight loss, metformin is not recommended. But if a patient is obese with diabetes mellitus type 2, it is very good choice, and nowadays even it is being used in type 1 diabetes mellitus. It reduces the requirement of insulin, and it can be used in diabetes associated with pregnancy, and it is used in polycystic ovarian disease, not alone hirsutism. Clomiphene is used in polycystic ovarian disease to treat infertility, not hirsutism. Okay, so this option was not correct. And oral contraceptive pills can be used in polycystic ovarian disease to treat menstrual irregularities, and it has some effect on hirsutism. But our scenario was not polycystic ovarian disease, so this option was not correct. Now we know that why all other options are not correct. A young female presented with excessive hair growth. We noted on examination that these hair are thick and dark pigmented. Pattern of growth is similar to male pattern. So this is hirsutism. She is obese. Menstrual cycle irregularities are present. After investigations, you come to the diagnosis of polycystic ovarian disease. So it was hirsutism associated with polycystic ovarian disease. All of the following can be used in treatment of polycystic ovarian disease except. Read the question carefully. They are not asking for treatment of choice. They are saying that these are all treatment except one. And we have discussed just after last question. We know that first three are included in the treatment of polycystic ovarian disease. No oral contraceptive pills are used in polycystic ovarian disease for menstrual irregularities, and they have somewhat effect on hirsutism as well. Spironolactone is used for hirsutism. Metformin is also used in polycystic ovarian disease. It can regulate the menstrual cycle. It helps in fertility as well. It helps in weight loss. And option D, glibenclamide, is not correct. Okay, have few words about glibenclamides because we know something about first three options. Glibenclamide is basically a drug for diabetes mellitus type 2. It is not used in diabetes mellitus type 1. It is only used in type 2, and this is sulfonylurea. And its side effects, major side effect is hypoglycemia and weight gain, and even within the class it has more severe hypoglycemia than many other sulfonylurea drugs. It can also give you stomach symptoms like gastric burn, and it can sometimes be associated with cholestatic jaundice. So it is not a treatment for polycystic ovarian disease. That's why this is wrong option. Actually this is correct option because they asked us to choose the wrong option. Because simply all of these, only glibenclamide is not used in polycystic ovarian disease. Coming to last question of the day, a young female presented with excessive hair growth. You noted on examination that these hair are thick and dark pigmented. Again, a scenario of hirsutism. Okay. Pattern of growth is similar to male pattern. She is tall and an athlete. Weight is within normal limits. No menstrual abnormalities. Question is, what is most likely diagnosis? What is most likely cause of hirsutism in this scenario? Polycystic ovarian disease. Is it polycystic ovarian disease? She is obese? No. And does she have any menstrual abnormalities? No. So it is less likely to have polycystic ovarian disease in her as diagnosis. Hypothyroidism, again it is very less likely because her weight is normal. In hypothyroidism she should be overweight, and a hypothyroidism patient without treatment, it's very difficult to be an athlete. Anabolic steroids, actually this is the correct answer because she is athlete and athletes does use it, and as we can rule out all other options, we will have only one option left at the end, anabolic steroid. Congenital adrenal hyperplasia, it's again not the cause because up till now she has other signs symptoms of it. She should have menstrual abnormalities, and one thing more, she is tall. Congenital adrenal hyperplasia is usually associated with short stature. Okay, so all other three options are not correct. We will choose anabolic steroid as the option. Have few words about congenital adrenal hyperplasia. As we have already discussed, idiopathic and polycystic ovarian disease, only one left. It is also called 21 hydroxylase deficiency. It is usually gradual in onset. It is without virilization. Menstrual irregularities are there. Diagnostic test for it is high 17 hydroxyprogesterone. Okay. Note that it has deficiency of 21 hydroxylase. Okay, and high levels of 17 hydroxyprogesterone. Don't confuse it in exam. If you come across with a scenario of congenital adrenal hyperplasia and they are asking for diagnostic test, don't confuse it with 21 hydroxylase deficiency. Diagnostic test is high 17 hydroxyprogesterone. This disease is associated with precocious puberty and short stature. So our last scenario was not congenital adrenal hyperplasia. Okay, we have discussed 5 questions, and all five questions run around a common scenario, and I would like to appreciate the students who are giving their answers in comments. So far I have seen only one, Zainab Akhtar, I think her name, and she is a good student because on her last video she also answered all the questions. Best of luck for you, and best of luck for all of the rest, and do subscribe the channel. I am coming back with another video soon. Bye.